Technology is a useful servant, but a dangerous master. Very good evening to everybody. Asian College of Teachers welcome you to yet another YouTube live session. And today we embark on a thought provoking journey into the ever evolving world of technology and its impact in the minds of our adolescents. As we embrace the numerous benefits of the social media which brings forward, we cannot overlook the potential challenges that it possesses, particularly concerning memory retention to our young learners and young students. In a world where information is just a click away, just a mouse click, we must question how this digital landscape shapes the way our youth is learning and retaining our knowledge. Well, to talk more on this, we have somebody very special today, Dr. Sarmishtha Chakrabarti, a senior consultant psychiatrist, Manipal Hospital and Ramakrishna Mission Seva Pratishthan, and founder and director of the Insight Medical Center at Calcutta. She is also the co-chairperson of Women of Mental Health Specialty of SARC Psychiatric Fed and a chairperson for Women Specialty Section of Indian Psychiatric Society. She has appeared on a TV and many online and offline platforms as a columnist in Bengali journals and newspapers and has organized several national and international conferences. Asian College of Teachers welcomes Dr. Sharmishta. A warm welcome to this special YouTube live session. Good evening, ma'am, and a warm welcome.
Good evening, and I thank Asian College of Teachers for inviting me for this special talk this evening and the special discussion. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will come directly to the topic, ma'am, because this is something very serious, something very profound, and we would like to know a lot from you. My first question to you would be, how does social media, especially among adolescents, impact the memory, retention, and the cognitive abilities if we are talking of education?
Yes. So basically, there are a few things. A, memory. B, you're talking about cognitive abilities and education. So, and of course, social media. So, first of all, what is memory? Memory is the ability to retain information for processing and utilization for future use. We all know that memory can be, short term memory and long term memory. And there's another memory in medical terms, we call it sensory memory, that is the immediate memory. So, what happens? You give attention, and through all the sensory parts, for example, through hearing, through your touch, through your eyes, your seeing. So, all this creates a memory which is sensory memory. Now, sensory memory is very, very, it lasts for few seconds only. So after sensory memory, you go into short-term memory. Now, short-term memory is when you retain something which is readily accessible and it lasts for 30 to 40 seconds. Now, when you repeatedly learn something and read something, what happens is that it goes through the hippocampus, which is a part of the brain, into long term memory. And long term memory is a memory which remains for a very long time. So, this is about memory. We know about social media. It is an internet based communication platform where we share and create information. For example, today, this platform, this is again a social media platform we are using for academic as well as education purposes. So, and create a web content. For example, there are so many: YouTube, there is Facebook, there is WhatsApp, there is TikTok, there's Snapchat, Instagram, and there are many more. So that is social media. So what has happened to social media is that, already adolescents were using the social media. Now, after COVID-19, the use of social media has become an epidemic, and epidemic in a good sense and a bad sense. So basically, the question you asked me is a bit complicated. Now, one of the thing is that when children and adolescents are actually studying as well as using social media, their attention is getting divided and there is multitasking. So social media can encourage multitasking, and as a result what happens is the adolescent causes there is switching offline to online platforms, and this constant divided attention creates a problem in memory. As we know, attention and concentration is the first stage to go into the memory. And then it goes into short term memory, and after repeated reading, it goes into long term memory. However, if you're multitasking, the attention and concentration becomes very poor. The focus becomes very poor. In the internet, as you know, there's a huge information overload. For an adolescent's brain, it is impossible to understand what is important and what is not. So in that case also, the information overload, the quality and the accuracy of the information you're getting is not possible for the adolescents to understand. And what we say is that the adolescent's brain is like a car which has developed the accelerator but not any brakes. So an accelerator means you're taking all the risks, but the brake, which is the control, is not there. So once you're getting used to a social media, you constantly go on using it, but you have no control of giving the brake. Information
Absolutely.
processing. Yes, so information, like, even older people like us, we find it very difficult to come out of the social media. It needs huge power and control of mind to come off it. So it's difficult for adolescents who do not have break to control it. Shallow processing of information, often it encourages, like, from one, without reading the full thing, you go straight into the next one. So it's very, very encouraging, it is encouraging quick and superficial engagement with the content. So as a result, there is shallow processing, and the knowledge is not becoming profound, or there's no reflective knowledge, there's no critical thinking, there's no active engagement, because you're just going from one to other. Then, as
Okay.
all of us know, that sleep quality is decreased. If the sleep quality is decreased, in that case also, brain functions do not do well with adolescents. And of course, all the time you are comparing yourself to somebody else who has a better life, who is going to different places. I can't. So the
Absolutely. Yeah.
self-esteem is lost. All these causes the problems in memory retention and cognition in educational activities.
So thank you. So point number one, if I can summarize, great words. Adolescence is acceleration without a break, and constant comparison, looking only the good things, good food, good exotic outstation location, having friends, beautiful food, etc., compares the adolescence into that. Another important thing which I also find with young children, even with my daughter, she's 13 years old, is that I would like to know your opinion. Is it that easy access to information reduces the retention? For example, in our days, we used to play a game where, given a word, how fast you can find it in a dictionary. The faster one wins the game. But here, right at this moment, you take a mobile and just talk or spell out the word, you get everything. Even you don't have to type it in Google, because the AI is now telling that you just tell what you need and the mail will be composed. So my question to you, doctor, is that with your huge experience, do you think easy access to information or knowledge is also a factor reducing the retention capacity?
Of course, because as you rightly said, you have a 13-year-old and I have a 21-year-old. We both know how difficult it is to get them out, and every they know, and I see a lot of young people in my chamber, and the parents say that they know so much, but They don't know those their school activities. If I don't know anything, they just tell me how to do it. They know everything. So basically the problem is that the knowledge is there. Of course the knowledge is there, but the knowledge is very shallow knowledge. It is not getting into the deep knowledge, because for the deep knowledge and critical thinking, what you need is constant concentration, deep reading, analyzing. There are so many cognitive processes in the brain which occurs, but here you're skipping from information to information, just possibly reading the headlines, and then you're not getting deeply. If you ask them further questions, I think they won't have the capacity to answer. They will say, okay, let me Google again. So they are reading again. So there is this shallow kind of knowledge comes in, because they don't know how to differentiate between what is important and what is not. So that is also there. There is this, somebody has to guide them that this part is important and this is not, and that can only be done by the teachers or the parents. So it's very difficult, because information is there, but the overload of information cannot tell you which is the right and which is the wrong information.
I would like to take a point, Doctor, that when we talk that they need to be rectified. Now, this is something which I have also learned. Life is the biggest teacher when every time we learn everything. Now, the problem that we are finding is more prevalent to the mothers, fathers, parents, and teachers rather than the students. Now, say for example, when you are in a train, an outstation train, when you see the seats over there and you see the parents, maybe a father and a mother, you will see both the father and the mother constantly fiddling over either WhatsApp, Facebook, or something. Now, if you being a parent, if we are doing that, how can we expect that our child will come out of social media? So I think that the onus is entirely responsible on me, on us.
Absolutely. When I see patients, sometimes what happens is that maybe an ADHD child or a child who has, addiction towards social media comes to us. What happens is that the child is sitting in front. I have two seats in front, and behind I have a sofa. So the child and the mother is sitting in front, and behind, most of the time, the father is on the phone. And I always have to request the father, please, can you switch off your phone or put it on silent and concentrate here. So if this is the case with us, how do we expect our young people to actually follow? So what we are doing will be completely mirrored or copied by our children. So it's very important to understand is that before controlling the social media use of the children, we have to control our social media use. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. A child is sitting next to the mother and studying, and the mother is using the phone and WhatsApping or doing Facebook. The child will, from very, very young age, I think you got to follow this, that you cannot do this in front of your child. Your child is copying you, and he will actually, now he is copying you, but later on he will become your master. He will do much, much more social media than you, because he's a smart brain. He can catch anything much better than you, because you might not think of going into Tinder or anything. You're married, but she at a very young age might go into all those. So it's very important to understand what you can do in front of your child, and when what you can't do. If you don't be an example to your child, the child will not you know follow whatever you said. He said, my mother or my father uses it for hours, nobody tells them, why are you telling me? So that is very, very important.
Absolutely. One more question about the problems, then we will come and seek your guidance that how it can be a solution. That the time span, the patience that we generally have, we have started to lose. See, for example, I will give you, if we look into any video where cooking is being taught, say, for example, cooking biryani or rice, etc. Now, there are two categories. One is that a 15 minutes video which teaches you how to put the ingredients, etc., and it teaches you a cooking dish or whatever. And there is a 55 seconds video on an Instagram reel or a Facebook reel which teaches you also the same thing, how to cook the food. Now you will see that nowadays why the visions for Instagram reels etc. has come, because people are thinking that rather than spending 15 minutes, if I can learn the cooking in 55 seconds, right, then it is better. And that is why Instagram reels etc. are putting everything starting from education, cooking, blogging, touring etc. Everything is reducing from 15 minutes to about a minute or so. Now, my question to you is that this reduction in terms of 15 minutes, because we see that people nowadays say that human brain cannot contain or retain something beyond 8 minutes. But I have witnessed myself in college and other university days when we used to watch a long 1 hour lecture, take a note, and then go back to the professor. What is happening? I cannot understand. That means it is not the mind who cannot retain for 1 minute. We have been programmed by the artificial intelligence that the entire reduction from 1 hour to 15 minutes and maybe now a minute. So my question is that, doctor, this reduction in terms of retention, is it due to the evolvement of technology, or is it by genetic evolvement that our retention is slowly reducing?
Again, a very, very difficult question. This is a very analytical question. One of the things is that we all know all these reels in Instagrams, and everybody is doing it because the salient points are taught and the children just love it. We love it. We all love it, right? If you sit with the reels, hours go by and you
Hours
don't
go
even
by.
understand
Yes,
that I've spent 30 minutes on nothing, to be honest. Yeah. So basically, what has happened is that the attention span of all humans, we've seen about more than 90% of the world population who have a smartphone, and they are on social media, on Facebook, on Insta, everything. So, what has happened here is that the attention span of ours, all of us, that day I was talking to my sister in law who was an avid reader. She's a teacher herself. She said, these days I used to finish books like anything. I cannot concentrate on the book anymore. That is how bad it has gone for people who used to concentrate for hours together. So what is happening is that we are doing a permanent damage to the brain, to be honest. We are
okay, yeah.
not letting our brain, especially the adolescent brain, is very, very neuroplastic. What is
Oh,
neuroplasticity? Is that the brain kind of regenerates very fast. It is the time of learning. It is the time when you are taking new information. It is the time of understanding, replicating, retention. Everything is at its topmost form. But
right.
what we have done with social media is that we have, constantly going from one topic to the other, the brain's regeneration capacity, holding capacity, retention capacity, and reproducing ability is going. So we are damaging the young brain from very, very young age. We are giving a child who is refusing to eat his food from the age of 2. The child sees the phone and some sort of cartoon network on the phone, and then he starts eating. Otherwise he is keeping his mouth shut. So the conditioning of the child's brain is starting very, very early on, and that is creating a kind of community where the brain actually has very, very less attention and concentration focus, and we are finding it difficult to study or concentrate on a lecture for more than an hour or so.
That means we have already started to damage our brain. I mean to say, this is a very serious problem that has started.
Very much.
Uh, So is it for the adolescents or for people like us who are matured, even if we are too much into social media?
Absolutely. More so for the adolescents because of the factors I told you. Because of the factors, adolescence is the time of learning, of the time of retention, of the time of analyzing, critical learning, and all these things are highest during the adolescence. The brain is neuroplastic, the brain is growing according to the things it is getting. So we say that, difference between bad and good comes during adolescence. you know Understand what is your peer group, that is during adolescence. Understand, listen to what your parents say, because they have gone through this phase, they have done their mistakes and they have learned from their mistakes that these are the problems. So this is a learning phase. The most difficult situation and the most important damage is being done to the adolescent brain. The attention span, the concentration span, the retention span, the reproduction bit. That is, when we are actually, whatever we have learned, we are putting it in writing, or we are putting it in teaching. You do that all the time. Tomorrow what you're going to teach, you're going to just learn about
Absolutely.
it, because teaching, science, everything is changing daily. So you do that, but for everybody brain is changing, more so due to during adolescence, because of this neuroplasticity, and because the brain is in the form that it is ready to receive knowledge, and it's not receiving, it's receiving a lot of kind of wrong information, wrong and right. But the adolescent doesn't know which is wrong and which is right. So it's
Yeah,
because judgment
absolutely.
doesn't
So,
develop.
so key takeaway point number one is that adolescence is acceleration without a break. Neuroplastic is the adolescent's brain, and whatever is happening, the adolescence is unable to make a kind of a decision between what is right and wrong, and it is just coming, and they really don't know. And a message what Dr. Sarmishtha told, that before we point out to the children, we should be much more responsible about our social media activities. I will come to the next point, but before that, Doctor, I would like to make one point. I was listening to this kind of a similar lecture with the president of New York Vedanta Society, Dr. Swami Swarbapriyananda. He went to Harvard University, very famous speaker we all know, and he told that by the time the professor is finishing a lecture, somebody perusing or going through internet has gone through one to second to third to fourth website, and when he came back, by that time the professor has finished 15 minutes of lecture and they are lost. So what they actually do is that, what he was telling is that the mobile phone is programmed in such a way that it won't ring forever, but after 3 minutes, after 7 minutes, so the moment you're trying to concentrate, it will disturb you. Again, you're trying to concentrate, disturb you. So he told a wonderful tip that when we set a target for education, say for example, I have to complete 10 pages of history in 1 hour. So even they are telling the Harvard University people that when you set an alarm, don't set that alarm on a mobile phone. Set that alarm on a clock and digitally disconnect yourself by putting the mobile in some other place. And then you just have a piece of pen and a paper and your books, and that is how you concentrate. I found that absolutely wonderful, because we always set alarm to do our sums before examination, but now we set alarm over mobile. And every time we go and visit, how many WhatsApp messages or how many selfie likes we have got. So I think this is something really wonderful. I come to the next point. I would seek your advice. What strategies can be implemented to encourage, mostly our parents, to encourage some kind of a responsible social media awareness? What would be your views?
Yeah. Now, one of the things which I see very often these days is that the relationship between the parents and the students and the adolescents have become very, very, very difficult because of the social media use. And even they are sometimes not on talking terms. They are having severe, adolescents are having severe aggression towards the parents, They are actually sending messages to other children of suicide threats and telling lies about parents that the parents are torturing them. So these are,
Oh,
I see very severe cases where people come to the psychiatrist when the everything has gone out of control. So I see extremely severe cases which are very, very, very difficult for the
I'm so
parent.
sorry to interfere in between. Can you give an example? What is the reason that they are sending suicidal messages to other children?
Okay, one fact is that you have to be very careful in judging suicidal risk. Okay, so A, they can be depressed, because constant comparing with another child and constant kind of uh, having social media interaction can cause lack of self esteem, poor attention concentration, poor educational achievement. As a result, the child becomes depressed and it can be a real threat. Second is that it can be an impulsive threat, that they had a problem with their parents, they had a fight with their parents, and they are sending it impulsively. As I said, the adolescent brains are very, very impulsive. They cannot judge what to do when. And that is normal in the adolescent brain.
Yes,
Third
true.
is that, you always feel that your parents want bad for you, they are trying to discipline you. So because the relationship, because both parents sometimes are working, they are not spending much time with the child. They are not, you know as soon as you come from the office, what happened in school, show me your paper, how much did you study, did you do the homework? So basically it's all about education. Find some time to talk to your child. This is the first important thing. Supportive environment for the child is very important. Form a good relationship with your child so that the child actually understands that my mother or my father loves me. That is important,
Hmm.
number one. Number two, set clear guidelines and boundaries. Establish clear rules and expectations. So basically, if you have a rule that during studying you're going to switch off the phone, keep it here where I'm not going to, touch, nobody is going to touch, keep it here switched off. After you finish studying, you come back and use it. This is one point. Second is time management. Sometimes children are very happy, like, after 3 hours of 2 hours of study, you get half an hour to use mobile phone, look at WhatsApp, talk to. But what happens very often is that I hear parents telling, I've given the phone for half an hour, but the child has taken it for 2 3 hours and they are refusing to give back. So that is the situation at the moment. Practice digital detox for yourself as well as the child. As I said, that the children learn from you, they are mirroring you all the time. Teach digital literacy skills. Teach the child that you can do a lot of studying by using as well. Have academic groups. Sometimes academic groups, I have heard one of the children who did very well. She says that, she sets targets, and after 2 hours she sits with the friend and kind of compares how much they have studied. This is proper use of internet and social media. Now, if another thing is that, some of the digital space is really not for children, so use blockers. At least you have to understand is the child what is the child looking at. That is also important, and tell the child that it is very important that you understand digital footprints are being created, and do not misbehave on a social media platform. Social
Right.
media behavior is very important.
There is a question coming up, ma'am. Sarwar Zaman Biswas. He's asking that, ma'am, how can we concrete and control our mind? I mean to say, control our mind. What will be the effect of reading cycle?
what will be the effective reading cycle? I
Effective
think
reading cycle.
a teacher will be the best person to guide on the reading cycle, but it depends on your curriculum. Some curriculums say you're into in class 2 in that curriculum, and somebody who is doing medicine and it's for second year of medicine, their curriculum is entirely different. And if you're studying for government jobs, those are completely different issues. So if you're having attention span less, some people have very low attention span. In that case, we say 1 hour of studying, 10 minutes you spend somewhere else, you just scroll through your, but then 10 minutes has to be 10 minutes. You have to actually be very strict about what you really can do and you cannot do. 10 minutes would be 10 minutes, and then you scroll through your mobile and come back, or you listen to some music and come back to study. So attention span low. Some children who have ADHD have 10 minutes attention span. So for them, 10 minutes of study, 5 minutes of going around, and again try to sit with the child, 10 minutes of study again. So for those children, the attention span being low, the time limit has to be low. But if your attention span is good, I think you can do timetables, do routines, follow those, keep it in a paper that today I'm going to finish this, and this will be my schedule. And follow that. Try to follow. I always say, some people say, timetables are rubbish, we can't follow it. Timetables, even if you do 50%, that is good. It is giving you a
Absolutely.
schedule, it is giving you a focus to do things properly. So timetable routines are good. Try to do
Absolutely.
that.
I think Sarwar has got his answer. Thank you, ma'am, for replying to that question. The thing is that, ma'am, what we also find is that when we are using digital media, say, for example, it has done a lot of good, obviously. When we are showing, say, for example, documentaries on histories, etc., it is creating a kind of a visual impact, which also enhances the cognitive power or enhances the learning process. Now, the thing is that it was a time when digital media was not there, and students were still taught through books and the storytelling techniques by drawing figures on the blackboard, etc. Now, I know it would be a difficult question, but still, I would like to ask you this digital era where things are more attractive, colorful, etc., that type of teaching and a pure orthodox chalk and board teaching, is the digital media colorful teaching again is creating a kind of a problem, or provided that we use it properly will create a problem, or shall we concentrate particularly for the teaching part on the chalk and the blackboard?
See, constantly, uh, you know, digital platforms are changing. There is a constant change in health and education. Constantly, things are being discovered, and it is going better and better. So I can never say that, we all know. I always tell the children that if you do through pictures, if you study by colors, those are the things that memory can actually catch, and memory centers become activated by different visuals. Those are very, very good ways of studying. Of course, as you said, if you show history in a proper, in visuals, those are very, very good ways. It goes into the long term memory. But you have to also understand that, as advanced education has become, we have to go into the internet, we have to go into the, digital education system. But you have to also understand that self reading and self, there is no, I feel there's no alternative to the book. The book reading is very, very important. I might sound like a teacher, but it is true. Because, many children who are, sitting for the NEET, and I have many NEET candidates, JE main candidates coming in. that we can't focus, we are feeling depressed, we are not getting the right marks, not getting the right college, then I hear that they are always on the mobile and they are doing classes on the mobile. But what is happening is, again, this shallow reading is happening, that from one YouTube channel they're going to another YouTube channel and the third YouTube channel. And what happens is that actual reading, self
Is not
study,
happening.
is not happening. You are
Absolutely.
flicking from here to there and here to there, but they never said that you cannot do self study. They asked you to do that, right? So, along with this, self study, book reading, I think is of huge importance. I think there is no, you cannot say that book reading has gone. No, book
No,
reading is
absolutely.
still there.
Absolutely. I remember when I think I was in class 8 and 9, and we were first reading about the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. And I remember our rector sir in our school first read out the letter which Tagore wrote to decline his knighthood. And believe me, I was so moved by reading that letter. I understand maybe 2% of that because these are very difficult words, obviously, by Rabindranath. And I went to the class, to the staff room, because during that time we didn't have pocket money. And I told
No.
sir that may I get a Xerox copy of that, what you read out. And believe me, ma'am, even today, when I am a professional, I still remember those days when the rector sir, I still remember his name as Arjo sir, and he read out in such immaculate pronunciation and the passion that you could see originally what happened in the Jallianwala Bagh massacre and why Tagore declined his knighthood. No social media and no documentary can give that kind of a impact which that professor had given me. So, so thank you very much
There
for
is
being
no,
with us
ultimately,
today.
social media or everything, ultimately, there is no replacement of real. I mean, Shonak, when I meet you in real place, I think our interaction will be much more interesting.
Absolutely.
Don't you think so? There is no, I think you cannot replace the real friendship, the real interaction, the real communication with a, an, a social media kind of interaction. I think that is also very important.
Just
Nothing
one
can
last
replace.
quick question, doctor. As you told that it is creating a complete damage to the brain. Now, just a quick question. Is it that a prolonged exposure to social media, not only social media, digitally connecting for a long term over maybe 20, 30 years, does it cause I mean to say biologically, if I talk medically, does it cause a problem in terms of the physical and mental capacity in terms of brain?
See,
Research shows that.
the research, there is a lot of research which we are, is ongoing, and there is nothing which is kind of still, I don't think 20 or 30 years could be followed up. Those things are, social media is a recent phenomenon. I mean, recent means about 10, 12 years phenomenon which has come in. So, still things are not that easy. It has, research is still being done. But of course, most of the research have shown lower academic achievement, lower focus and attention, sleep disturbances,
Okay.
distraction, and of course, as you know, that, self-esteem low, depression, comparing, always going into this social comparison, it causes depression, and depression is a brain phenomenon. And there are, easy kind of gratification or reward causes dopamine release, and the serotonin release, it goes down, oxytocin release goes down. This has been seen, those things have been proved. But permanent damage to the, and physically, of course, obesity, sitting for
Obesity,
hours,
right? Yes. I was coming
obesity,
to that point, right?
lack of physical exercise, hypertension, diabetes, all these things are coming in young children. If you see, some of the young children as young as 17, 18 are on antihypertensives. So obesity, and stress, anxiety, depression, all these have become due to prolonged sitting with the mobile phone. And even not in, you're losing that social contact altogether. You'll see that you all only have uh, those social media friends. You're losing actual friends.
Actual
I
friends, right?
have a child who is refusing to go to school because she's always on the phone, and the parents are, very, very upset because she's not listening. She thinks parents are the worst enemies, and that is what is happening. So, nothing can be right by excessive use. You can do controlled use, and the parents and the teachers have to guide. And of course, some programs like this will help the children to understand that where to draw a limit to use social media.
Well, that was a very encouraging session. I mean to say, a lot of things being told. Obviously, it is a serious issue, and from Asian College of Teachers, we continually strive for a better education, for classroom programs, etc. Although we are also on, and we try to bring up this type of talks so that we can engage. From Asian College teachers' point of view, I would like to thank you, ma'am, Dr. Sarmishtha, for bringing out a valuable time. I know you now have to rush to your dispensary. You have patients waiting. But thank you for enlightening and enriching us for such a insightful session. And thank you very much. I hope the audience who have been watching this have enjoyed. And Kanta, as you always, she has been supporting us. She tells that thanks a lot, Asian College of Teachers, family, ma'am. Do visit again to such great information and insight for mental health. We need it. So that's the kind of an appreciation. So thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for being
Thank you
with
so
us.
much.
And
Thank you
we are
so
really
much,
honored.
teachers. I think these type of awareness programs are absolutely mandatory in this day and age. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And for Asian College of Teachers, we will be back again with this kind of sessions. Hope you like it. This is Shaunak signing off from Asian College of Teachers. Have a good day. And heartfelt thanks to ma'am. Thank you very much with us, being with us.